Hey everyone, it's May, and welcome to another episode of the May Lee Show. Now, this episode is going to be a little bit different, and the reason why is because it has to be recorded in stages. Let me try to explain without giving too much away. Well, even if I give it away, it's okay. So I'm going to show you what I look like, and for those of you who are listening, I'm going to describe to you what I look like, and then the show will continue. Now, I know, like right now, you're like, what is she freaking talking about? Okay. So we have all been living through COVID, right? We're going into month 6, right, at this point. And for a lot of us, that's meant that we have had to self-groom, meaning like we haven't been able to go to the hair salon. We haven't been able to get our hair cut and all that stuff. And I definitely haven't. I haven't gone to the salon and gotten my hair cut or anything since probably early March. And I just said, basically, F it. I'm just going to let my hair grow and just deal with it and just kind of see how long it can get without any care. So now it's gotten to the point, seriously, I hide it well, just to let you know. If you're watching the show and you've been watching the show, I hide the fact that my hair is out of control pretty well because it's sort of layered, and I kind of just put the better looking hair in the front and you never see the back of my hair, right? You never see it. So what's happened is that my hair grows super, super fast anyway. And it's gotten so long that I say I look like Cousin It now. If you guys know the Addams Family, all right, so do you know who Cousin It? Cousin It is the character that has really long hair, and he's just all hair. It's just really long brown hair, and the way he speaks is like this. Okay, so I just put my hair in front of myself like this, and I look like Cousin It, totally. And then if you look at my hair from the back, you'll see how long it is. See, did you see that? It's crazy, right? So this is really kind of how my hair looks, and it's getting to the point of making me completely insane. Oh, and I've also been doing my own roots, right, with like drugstore color. So that's basically has been my self-care, self-grooming routine. See, even Eggy, my dog, is coming over saying, "Yeah, mommy, you look really terrible. You need to do something." So lo and behold, I get a message sent to the May Lee Show Instagram account. And it is a message from Anco Tran, who is one of the most famous celebrity hairstylists around. Vietnamese American. He is incredibly successful, incredibly talented, incredibly famous. And he's done like every celebrity you would think of under the sun, done their hair. So in fact, I looked up his bio, and on his website, he has celebrity clientele, sort of section. And it is like, I don't know if you can see that. It's like a mile long. It's a mile long. So he writes and says, really enjoyed the show. If May would like to get her hair done at any time, let me know. Right? So I'm like, yes, please sign me up. So then I thought, how fun would it be to make this into a show, to talk about, my transformation, my COVID hair, and turn it into something that's a little bit more acceptable. And also talk on about his life and how he became this celebrity stylist and his artwork, and because what he does truly is artwork. It's very artistic and very creative. So I thought, well, let's try to do a show doing this. Now, because we're still in COVID, we have to take precautions. So that's why I'm shooting this in pieces. He is going to come over to my home. We're going to cut the hair outdoors in a safe environment, obviously. And then we're going to be doing the interview also safely, socially, distancing ourselves, et cetera, et cetera. But I really wanted to kind of record this intro for you guys because I wanted you to see the truth about my hair. That it's been smoke and mirrors for a while. But I got to tell you, I kind of can't wait to get a lot of this chopped off. I mean, you can't see, but it is some dead shit down here and lots of split ends and damage because I had gotten balayage before, which is a bleaching technique, and my hair is pretty dried out and looking like straw on the ends. But cousin it no more. Cousin it needs to say goodbye. If it's not cousin it, I felt like Bigfoot. I mean, one of the two, interchangeable. So it's time for a change. It's time for COVID hair to say bye-bye. So, all right. So next stop is my haircut with Anco Tran. And then I'm going to be talking to him about his career and about his life. All right. So now you've seen it and heard about my hair pre-cut and style. All right. Okay. Let's keep going with the show. Okay, so this is part 2, and Anco Tran is here at my house to begin my transformation. Okay, now here we are for part 3 of this episode. I know, I don't think I've done a multi-part episode like this, but my hair looks amazing, if I can just say so myself. Seriously, it was a total transformation from what I looked like before and now. So tell me what you did to kind of take me from cousin it to now. Just briefly.
So, taking off the split ends and the dead ends and then reshaping your layers and reframing your face. And that was it.
Yeah.
It's just so simple. And add some curls in and to make it more natural looking.
Right.
But,
I know.
But you do have natural curls. So I think natural waves. So I think it'll be really complementary to the haircut.
Yeah, no. And it's about making it easy. I think that's what we all want when it comes to hair. It's like low maintenance hair.
Absolutely. Yeah. Low maintenance is the key, especially now. Like, you don't have to do your hair.
I know.
And if you can just wash and go and add some products in.
Yeah,
key.
Exactly.
Yep.
Well, I told you during the cut that I gave myself a challenge because of COVID, we're in shelter in place. Nobody was getting their hair cut. Nobody was doing any kind of self-grooming really. So I was just like, I'm just going to let it go as long as I can. And it got to the point where obviously I couldn't do that anymore. But in the beginning of COVID, were you seeing that people were like, well, I can't do anything. So they were trying to self-groom. So what were you seeing?
I kept on getting Instagram message of like, how did I cut my hair? How did I cut my bangs? And how can I trim myself? I'm like, yeah, we might be in this for a while, but we might not. But condition your ends, maintain your healthiness of the hair is the best thing. Because the last thing you want to do is cut your hair and I have seen, because I'm starting to come back to work, and I've seen how people have layered their hair. It's quite interesting.
Oh, by themselves, really? So it's some mistakes that you're having to repair?
Yeah.
Oh, how funny.
It's not anything major.
Yeah.
I think color is probably more major because they're trying to color themselves. And I don't do color, but I've seen a lot of like interesting color. Just trying to like repatch the grays or re-highlight the hair. And
hey man, I told you that's what I tried to do. I've been trying to do my own roots, and as you can see, I didn't do a very good job in parts of my hair.
Yeah.
But we're all trying to make do during this time, which is so unusual, right? So I did watch tutorials, and I've had friends try to watch tutorials to try to cut their own hair. But at the end of the day, everybody was like, I cannot wait for salons to open up. So have you had like a steady stream now that things are starting to open up of people saying, I need to come see you?
Yep. Very steady. I mean, we're very busy. Every time we open up a books, it gets booked up so quickly.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I even had, I went to the Bay Area last weekend, and one of my clients was vacationing in Newport Beach.
Yeah.
And she lives in the Bay Area.
Okay.
She drove back to get her haircut and then drove back to Newport Beach. I'm like, you're insane. She's like, I got to do this. It's been 6 months.
Wow. Yeah.
That's how dedicated she was.
Right.
She's like, I need to get a haircut. But it lasts for 6 months. So this is like, you know, it's one of those things that you get it, and then she's like, I just have to cross that out.
Exactly.
I can't looking like that, you know.
But
so.
here's what I'm curious about, because I just look at my own behavior, but also friends. It's been 6 months now of us being, you know, in this unusual situation. I kind of wonder if that's going to change how people look at self grooming and self care and beauty and all of that. Do you think we're starting to see a shift in, you know, how people are viewing that and the importance they're placing on it, or not? You know, are you seeing a change in
Well,
that way?
I noticed that as far as haircut, because I only do haircuts,
Yeah.
that they do low maintenance haircuts more than ever.
Okay.
So I have clients who cut it off
Yeah.
and they just want it like really short, so I can, by the time they see me, it'll be long again.
Right.
Or people who just kept it long and
Yeah.
just reshape it because they can pull up in a ponytail or do a knot, like a knot. It'd be so easy, you know,
Right.
something like that. They you could just do on a daily basis.
Right, right. I asked that because I just wonder, you know, we're all thinking, oh, COVID and quarantining, it's sort of a time for self-reflection, and you're sort of reprioritizing all these things that you thought were so important before, and now you're saying, why did I get so worked up about that kind of stuff?
Right.
And I just wonder if, again, the grooming and the coiffing and, like, you know, running to the salon every 3 weeks is something that people are like, do I really need to do that anymore? You know?
I mean, it's less, but they still see the importance because they're like, I have to make sure I look good for my husband.
Yeah.
Or, you know, when I'm in a Zoom call.
Exactly. Yes.
When I'm in meetings, I don't look like, you know,
Yeah.
a crazy person.
That's so true
So,
now. Now they're
yeah.
saying because people are doing Zoom and having to be on camera more than they ever were before. I mean, I'm used to it because that's my business. But normally people, they didn't have to worry about that before. So now people are like buying things like ring lights and,
Yeah.
you know, trying to make themselves look better. So that's actually an interesting point.
Yeah. And then I think that's just major thing that I just like, I need to look good.
Right.
So,
Right.
yeah.
Okay.
But it's still low maintenance. They understand that, you know, if I can't see you, this will last to the next haircut or
Right.
the next time I won't see you.
Right. Okay. All right. Let's talk about you now. Let's go back because you have such an interesting history, right? Your family fled Vietnam in 74, right?
Well, no, I was born in 74.
Oh, sorry. You were born in 74. Sorry.
That's
but then
okay.
you fled when you were 4 years old.
Yeah, so 78.
Okay.
They escaped in the middle of the night. That's what my family said. In a fishing boat.
Right.
Thank God we're fishermen because we know, I guess, the Morse codes when
Morse code,
other Thai pirates would signal, because that's how they can tell if someone who doesn't know their language, like
Right.
sea language. So if they don't, a lot of time they would get robbed
Oh,
and raped and killed.
wow. Oh my God.
So there's like they knew there was a huge exile from
Okay.
Vietnam, so they would steal the gold and rape the women and kill the kids and everyone. Yep.
So because your family knew how to communicate that way, you were able to avoid that.
Yep.
Wow,
Yes.
that's amazing.
That is, I was, that's why one of the things that my dad told me, like, that's one thing that always get people. And,
Right.
Because they was like, oh, will one of us help us? And then they'll be like, okay, we'll come help you. And like, you know, and that's how things happen.
Right.
Yeah.
So were you guys in a boat, just your family, or were you in a boat with several other people?
Gosh, like, I think it was hundreds.
Oh, okay.
100 people.
So it
or
was that typical story of like
Yes.
an overflowing boat
Yes.
of people from Vietnam escaping. Okay.
Yes.
And where did you guys go from there?
So we went out to the Indian Ocean.
Okay.
I think they were on the way to Malaysia or Indonesia.
Okay.
Or refuge.
Right.
But I guess it took a while, and the government found us, and they took us in for refugee.
Okay.
The Malaysian government.
Okay. And so were you at a camp for a while?
We were at a camp amongst other exile,
Yep.
and we were there for like a year and a half.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That long. Okay.
Until we a church in Austin, Texas sponsors.
Oh, wow.
That's why I was in Texas first.
Okay, got it. That's the Texas connection. So do you have memories, any recollection of
I
this?
don't.
No, nothing.
It's so crazy. I mean, maybe it was so traumatizing. I just don't remember anything.
Yeah, could be.
And my sister's like, And my sister, my mom, like said, you were like purple from seasick.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I don't remember nothing.
So it might have been the trauma of
Yes,
all
I
of that.
think so.
Yeah.
To be sure.
Okay. But you've heard stories, obviously, from your family.
Yes.
And so you go to Texas and your family is there for what, a few
We were
years
there
or?
for 7 years.
Okay.
My parents couldn't stand the weather, but we went to church every Sunday.
Okay.
Because that was like coming to church, and it was great. And I think my parents were so open-minded. They're like, you know what? These people took us in. It'll be nice if you guys go to church.
Yeah.
And I was in choir, and
Oh,
yeah, it was fun.
okay.
It was really fun.
I mean, that's like a typical Texas life, you know, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So do you have fond memories of the 7 years you were in Texas then?
Yes.
Okay. And then from there,
we went to Southern California.
Okay.
Because our cousins are there, and they're like, come here, the weather's nice.
Yeah.
And went to Orange County. And
Okay.
my family lived there ever since.
And never left. Okay.
Never left.
Right.
They never left little Saigon.
Yeah, but it sounds like your family was definitely close. I mean, having gone through that kind of trauma and you know adversity. That's the thing about refugees. It's like what they go through to seek that better life is pretty extraordinary.
Yeah.
And the willingness to make that kind of sacrifice for family.
Yeah,
People have to understand what that means.
We could have all died at sea.
Yeah.
And for them not knowing how to communicate with other boats, we could have died easily.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's why when people talk about immigrants in a negative way, right? They have to understand what the immigrant story is. They are leaving behind what they knew, don't speak the language, but then yet they're still willing to, you know, get on a boat, risk their lives because they're seeking a better life for their family.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's not like they're just saying, oh yeah, let's go on this cruise. Right. So that immigrant story is something that people really need to understand what they're sacrificing for their family.
Huge sacrifice.
Yeah.
I mean, my parents were 40 something and 40 something years old living in Vietnam. That's all they knew.
Right.
And to like pack up and go like, you know what?
And leave everything.
To leave.
Yeah.
Because the country's not well. So we need to leave.
Right. Right. Wow. Yeah. Okay. So you're in California, you know, you're this kind of California boy now. And so how then do you start thinking, you know, I really like fashion and design and maybe I'll go to fashion school. And I mean, when did that all start for you?
I don't know. I mean, I guess ever since I was young, I always loved watching fashion TV, and I grew up in the 90s. So we used to have supermodels.
Right.
So,
that's right. Back in the day. Yeah.
We have Naomi Campbell. We have like Linda Evangelista and like Claudia Schiffer. Like it was amazing seeing those girls walking and strolling the runway. And it was really cool. Like the hair is all done and the makeup's all done. And I was like, you know what? I want to design. And I think by the 10th kid, because I'm the 10th of the family, the last one of the family.
Wow.
And by that time, everyone is either a businessman or they have like other things. So by that time, they're like, do whatever you want. Like my parents, like whatever, just do something, make yourself happy.
Yeah, exactly. Number 10, they're like, whatever.
Whatever.
You know?
And I mean, number 10 was kind of an accident because they didn't expect to have me.
Yeah.
So, and they're like, okay, fine. And it was interesting because I was pretty much a black sheep of the family.
Okay.
I went to art and went to fashion.
Because all your other siblings, were they more
all
like
business.
conservative? Oh,
all business.
interesting.
Like,
okay.
Do business, do things. And they're like, oh, you're going to do fashion? They're like, okay, whatever.
Right.
Oh, you're going to cut hair now? All right, cool. And then they're like, whatever makes you happy.
Yeah.
But now they're like, can you cut my hair? I'm like, remember what you said to me? They're like, well, you know, I don't mean it. I didn't know how good you were. I'm like, right. But it's cute and it's funny.
But you were saying as you were cutting my hair that you naturally gravitated to this, and then when you started doing it, it just came so naturally to you.
It came really natural.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just one of those things that just came really easy in life, and just I don't know. I feel like anything that in my life when things just fall naturally, it's just meant to be.
Yeah.
And when things are meant to be, it just really comes really easily.
Right.
And
But I mean, you can have a natural talent, but then to make it successful, those are two very different things, right? So
Yes.
for you, how long ago did you start?
I started 20 years ago.
Okay, 20
Yeah.
years ago. So 20 years ago, nobody knows who you are.
No.
Nobody knows you're good, none of that. So tell me how that evolution took place then in terms of getting from that point to now you're on Tran. I mean, seriously, I say your name to my friends. And when I told them that he's going to come cut my hair, they were freaking out.
Oh,
Literally, they're like, oh my God, I follow his Instagram. And one of them was even like, can I come watch? I'm like, no, we're in COVID. I'm so sorry. Just watch the show. But literally, like you have that kind of effect on people, your name and your reputation. So going from I want to cut hair and nobody knows who you are to where you are now, obviously that took some effort. But
it did.
yeah.
I mean, it took 20 years. I mean, it flew by.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm 46 now, and I feel like I'm still learning, and I'm still like a sponge. I'm like, oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
It's just, I love that. But I feel like, that book, 10,000 Hours?
Yes. It takes something 10,000 hours.
It does.
Yes.
I think by the 10th year, I finally realized, what am I doing? I mean, why am I doing things? Because I feel like the first 10 years were like, what I learned is what I did.
Right.
And not knowing why and just doing it.
Okay.
So I can even see it in my assistants when they do graduate, they just mimic because that's what they learn and that's what they knew.
It's almost like an academic.
Yes, exactly. And
Yeah.
they just like, okay, this is what I learned. This is what I practiced. Like, I guess same thing with lawyers and doctors. But once they gain experience, they're like, oh, this worked for me. This didn't work for me. Or, oh, this works,
Yeah.
And that's how you find new techniques. And it's combinations of old and new, and that makes it different.
Right.
And it's not like I'm reinventing the wheels. Like, what I do is like, I really like to have clients who can just do their own hair.
Right.
If they can't do their own hair, at least they wash it and like, it looks good.
Right.
So that's one of my key things.
Oh, sorry. I know my dogs always interrupt my show, but that's okay because the audience is used to it now. They know this. But I don't know what's wrong with you, Sugi. We're having a serious conversation right now. Yeah. So I guess you start developing your style, obviously, which you did. Yep. That became famous, right? So again, it was that constant like evolution.
Yes.
That you were going through yourself.
Yes, and I think one thing that really stand out when I guess how I describe the way I cut hair is I call it lived-in hair.
Yeah.
And lived-in hair is basically a term, or I guess it's just a trademark now, meaning that sometimes when you get a haircut and it takes like a week to sits in or lived in.
That's true.
And so that's why I'm trying to recreate something that's been broken in, like how you wear or buy a pair of vintage jeans.
Yeah.
It's already broken in.
Right.
So having hair that's already broken in, it almost suits your face so much that you forget what your hair looks like before.
Yeah.
Instead of like planting a haircut on someone. Because sometimes when you plant a haircut on someone, it's just like, oh yeah, you got a haircut. But when you do a haircut that suits them so well, it just looks natural.
Yeah,
it looks very natural.
It looks like they've had this haircut.
Exactly.
And it's, yeah.
I mean, that's how that term came, lived in hair.
I'm not trying to like stroke your ego here, but I got to tell you, when I looked in the mirror after you cut my hair, I'm like, oh my God, it just looks it just looks totally natural.
Aww.
As if, I just kind of woke up this way. Yes, I wake up this way. I mean, I wish. But yeah, so it does make sense. It is like a nice pair of old jeans that you're used to, and it's comfortable.
Yes.
And there's no fuss, right? Mm-hmm. And it's, again, low maintenance. Yes. You want that low maintenance look.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that came from an image of when I was growing up. And I was admiring Kate Moss because I love her. Uh-huh. And she always had that bad head.
That's so true.
After sex hair.
Yes, that's so true.
It's so sexy.
Yes.
But yet feminine and kind of like together, but kind of messy. Like, I don't really care.
But like easy, breezy. Kind of.
Like cool girl.
Yes.
Like,
Oh, so that was the inspiration for you.
That was inspiration for me to recreate that.
Oh,
in a cutting form, not just styling form, but like to have that all the time with my client. So that was my inspiration.
Oh, Okay. So is it good old Kate? All right.
Yes. Yeah.
So now because this is your trademark, I mean, everybody knows you for this look, right? Where then have you tried to move on from that and develop something else, or like how does that work for you? What's your
That's
creative process like? I
that's the
guess.
tricky part. I
Yeah.
think I think getting your foot in the door is the most easiest thing.
Yeah.
Staying inside is hard. Reinventing yourself, um, progressing yourself is
Right.
hard.
Right.
You know, I think through education, I learn a lot about how I can improve my haircuts or how I can improve the looks to the point where I have to dissect it down in order for me to teach it.
Right.
So I've been teaching a lot, and it's really been helping me with the progression.
Yeah.
What would be next? I don't know. I think one thing that's really natural about it is like I just have to let it be
Mm.
and see where it takes me,
Yeah.
you know? And I do want to do something different, like progressively.
Yeah.
And I guess like Sassoon or Tony Guy, it's like they have a signature look, and for them to progress is it's sometimes it's like you're so known for that signature look,
Right.
and like the Rachel back in the days
That's
with
right.
Chris
That's right.
McMillan,
Yep.
and you know he progressed, and we all have to like really look deep inside, and
I mean,
sometimes it's a curse too because
yeah.
people just know you for that look or know
Right.
you for that signature cut, whereas you're trying to grow, and then you can't grow too out of it because then it's like okay, that's not you.
Then they're like,
You
"Who are
are
you?" Yeah.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Exactly.
But progressively and making it different,
Right.
you know, sometimes it can be the most subtlest types of styling technique, but it makes it different. So
But again, you have to also be observant of your environment and the
yes,
times. And like I said, with COVID, maybe people are starting to shift their view on grooming and, what they actually want, how they want to project their image.
yeah,
Maybe it's not as flashy as pre-COVID, that
yeah.
kind of thing. So you have to also take that into consideration.
And I think even during the time when I was cutting, like I really realized that people don't have to come in every 6 months or every month to get the haircut.
Mhm.
They usually the haircut should last about like maybe 2 months to 6 months.
Yeah.
So maybe this was a really good prep for COVID.
Right.
And
Right.
whereas
Yes.
before, when I remember when my sister we used to get haircuts or her hairstylist, she would go in every month or every three weeks
Right.
to get her hair done, to get a haircut. And then when I do get clients who are like old school like that, like do I have to come in every 6 weeks now? I'm like, no. Like you can come 3 months. They're like, really? I'm like, yes. Because the way it sits and the way
Yeah.
it grows out, it would just morph into another haircut.
But see, that's what makes you a very nice stylist because you're not making as much money if you're telling people to come in every 6 months, right?
But I really feel like good words will spread more, and
Yes.
then you get new clients.
And
So
yeah, clearly you do.
the
So
rotation of like you get old clients and they, maintain being your old clients, but you also get new clients where like, oh my God, I got my haircut and it lasts for like 3 months. You don't
yeah,
have to get it cut often or 6 months. And then you get more new clients and it's just like evolving. And
yeah.
I'm a hairstylist, and I guess part of me being a Gemini is like I love seeing new people. I
Okay.
really do because
Okay.
it's like, and I love old clients as well, but like I love seeing new people and I love seeing old people and I
Yeah.
love traveling, and that's makes it fun for me.
Right,
It's
right.
always constant stimulation.
Yeah, no. That's what I love about my job. I'm always meeting new people
Mhm.
and getting to know their story. So that's the fun part, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So I was talking to you again while you were cutting my hair about the beauty of Instagram and social media. That's what's really helped you get your brand and your name out there. And
Right.
that's really, you credit much of your recognition because of social media,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So that's been the tool for you to market yourself.
Yes, I think ever since, well, I mean, I've been around before social media,
Yeah.
before Instagram.
Right.
Well, I remember when it first came out, and I'm like, what is this? Like, oh man, it's another job. Like,
Yeah.
I work so much as it is. And then I kind of came into kind of late because I think 3 years came by and went by, and then I went on Instagram.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, oh, this is a way of like showcasing your work, and it's free.
Yeah.
And you know, and it's not like you tooting your own horn, but you're showing people what
What
you can
you're
do,
yeah.
you know?
And you say that a lot of your clients are finding you just via
Yeah.
Instagram.
Instagram and Pinterest.
And worldwide, we're talking worldwide clients find you
Yes.
through these means. That's
Yes.
amazing.
Because Instagram is international, so it's their way of like connecting with people instantly.
So people literally find you on Instagram and they DM you and say, I want a haircut?
Yes, and also, or they're like, can you come to Brazil? Like Brazil is number 2 as far as fan base outside of the US.
Right.
It's insane. Like Brazil is like really, really, really out
Which
there.
is surprising. I had no idea.
And they're really into beauty.
That I know.
Hugely.
I mean,
into
they're
beauty.
into cosmetic surgery, all that stuff. But yeah, I didn't realize that even hair, that they would want someone to fly in, you know, to do that. Do they fly you in?
No.
Okay, I was like,
I taught classes there. And,
okay.
And I do have a lot of Brazilian clients in Miami and New York and LA and like everywhere.
Okay.
But they found me through Instagram.
Ah. So you start using Instagram, social media, people find you and they contact you and you fly all over the world and do hair. That's not a bad setup.
No,
and no marketing.
Very grateful for that.
Except through social media, really. Yeah. Okay. So here's a question that I want to ask you, because over the years, I have noticed there are so many Asian Americans who are very, very successful stylists, makeup artists, designers. Compared to our population, there are a lot who have done so well in that creative space. Why do you think that is? It's impressive.
Yeah, especially designer in New York. I mean, from Jason Wu to Philip Lim.
Yep.
Like,
yep.
Yeah, and like Alexander Wang, like it's so cool, like to see that.
And stylists, I mean, hairstylists too, like you. I mean, I've seen others who are pretty prominent and they're catering to a lot of very well-known clientele who are coming to them. I mean,
I don't know.
Are we just like extra talented or something?
I think we like beauty, you know? And a lot of my friends who are makeup artists who are like, you know, Patrick Ta and Hung Van Gogh and then Mai Quinn, like I don't know. It's just one thing that is just, it's really, really interesting.
I mean, it's impressive because a lot of them are also first generation.
Yes.
You know, like you, right? So it's I don't know. I mean, because you think, again, stereotypical Asians, you know, the parents want them to go into something very conservative and safe and all of that.
Right.
But I love seeing that the Asian American population is really expanding their horizons to go into more creative industries and, you know, jobs and careers. And then they really find their voice and their talent.
Yes.
You know?
And I'm very happy for that, because when I was growing up, I didn't have anyone to look up to.
Right.
I think the closest person I looked up to was Bruce Lee.
Right. Yes.
And he's nothing to do with, you know, beauty.
But he still represented somebody that you could look up to, right? Yeah.
And then before that, I was looking up to like other, you know, but now I'm glad that we have a lot more representation of like different categories. It was nice. Like I have gotten students who are like, I'm so glad you're, you know, Asian or Vietnamese or Chinese, and it's just nice for us to like look up to. And I'm like, oh, that makes me happy, and
it's
that makes
important.
me really, really, help them out. Like that's really cool.
They see you as a role model, and see, here's the thing about representation: if you can't see it, you're not going to believe it, right? You're not going to have anything to aspire to because you don't know, you've never had that role model. So to see it, you know, and see that there's possibilities, it makes a huge difference.
Right.
So in your industry, of course, young people are going to see your success. You're Asian, you have this incredible success story, but also survival story, which adds another layer to the possibility of you can go from that, you know, escaping Vietnam to where you are now. And that's inspiring.
Sometimes I forget about that story. Because I've been doing it for so long and forget what my parents sacrificed.
Right.
And I'm like, wow. That's right. Talking to you, and sometimes I just like, wow, it just really sets in.
Yeah, and I think it's important to share that story as much as possible, because again, it's a renewed appreciation
Right.
for where we came from, what our family history is, and what they went through, and really, that is the ultimate in love, right? That a
Right.
family can provide to their to their
Right.
children.
Right. And it's
That
a good
yeah,
reminder because
very
sometimes,
good.
of course, doing what I do, and sometimes I forget. I'm like, and sometimes I complain about stupid things. I'm like, oh
We all
no,
do.
okay. We have to just like sit back and go like, okay, that was stupid, and I
Yeah.
just need to like get over it.
I
You
know,
know,
exactly. Yeah, because I think about
humble yourself,
yeah,
and
because
that
I
was
think
it.
about my family background too and what my parents went through, and I'm like, oh man, Meg, come on, you can't complain about like, oh my God, my door doesn't work, or something stupid like that. So, yeah.
Yeah, exactly,
But you were
exactly.
saying also when you were cutting my hair that you're a workaholic and you still are really driven because you think that does come from your family and that background.
That came from for sure. I not guilt that my parents put on me, but I feel like it's guilt from me that they have sacrificed so much that if I would even a day of laying on the couch and they're like, what are you like in my mind be like, what are you doing? Like, you could have done this and
Yeah.
this and this. And I'm like, you do need to rest your body
Yes.
because the last thing you want to do is burn out and then you can't do
Right.
anything.
Right.
Then that's worse. So being able to like have a vacation. I think that's one thing that I learned from my parents or my family is that you can't keep on going. You will
Yeah.
burn out and you will compromise your health and then you can't go. You
Yeah.
can't keep on going.
That's
So
right.
adapting that Western culture of like, you need a vacation. You
Yeah.
should have a vacation so you can like recharge so you can go back at it again.
Well, I have noticed on your Instagram feed that you love going out to Joshua Tree.
I love
That's
Joshua
like your
Tree.
sanctuary, isn't it?
There's something about the energy of the desert,
Yeah.
which really recharged me and,
Right.
and the dryness. Like I'm not a beach person. If
Okay.
I laying around the beach, I just might as well go to bed.
Uh-huh.
It just puts me to sleep.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing is like, I don't know if you believe in Chinese element or astrology.
Yeah.
I am
The
a
energy of
tiger wood. So if I'm in water too much, wood expands
okay.
and it corrodes the wood or it decomposes the
Yeah.
wood.
Yeah.
So being out in the beach, I can only have a little bit, then I'm done. Because I always get so antsy. Every time I go on beach vacation,
Yeah.
I get so antsy.
Okay.
I'll lay out for like a day. And the next day I'm like, we got to go hiking. I
Right.
can't lay out for like 5 days. So being out in the desert, I thrive so much. I feel like I'm blossoming.
Oh, interesting.
It's very interesting. Find out your element. Find out your element. Yeah.
Okay, you're talking about a subject I'm very familiar with. So I am a fire horse. Okay, fire horse only happens every 60 years.
Oh.
Okay, so back in the day, they didn't want to have babies during the year of the fire horse in Asia because they didn't want a girl fire horse. Because a girl fire horse was out of control, hard to tame, needed to run, right? And so when I was born, my grandfather was like, uh-oh.
She's a wild one.
Yeah. And heart, just on fire. You're like very fiery. I don't know why people think that about me. But
No one makes you think that.
but here's the thing about the element thing too. In Korean astrology, it's similar to Chinese. There's 5 different elements, and you're usually a combination. If you look at your charts, you're a combination of a couple of different elements. This guy who did my chart, a Korean guy, comes back and he's like, never really seen this before, but all 5 of your elements, all fire, all 5.
Whoa.
Yeah. So he's like, you desperately need water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To
Calm,
balance you out.
Calm that down. Yeah. So for me, I actually do need the water, not laying on the beach. I actually need to like be on the water or like close to water to feel that energy. So I get that. I totally get it. And I think it's very accurate.
Oh, I think so too.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
a fire horse.
I'm fire, but I'm all fire. So I'm just on
Whoa.
fire all the time.
Wow.
Yeah. So I hear you about the balance though. And I remember reading an article. I think you gave an interview about, it took you a while to realize the importance of balance because you were out of balance for a long time. You were just working and just focusing on that. But you realize if I keep doing this, I'm going to burn out.
Yeah. I'm gonna have cancer. I'll probably like
Right.
go away.
Right. Okay.
And that doesn't do any justice for all this all the things I have built over the years.
Right.
And yeah, you gotta have that balance.
Yeah.
And if anything, what COVID taught me is that that's more prominent than ever, like balance.
For
Any
sure.
chance you get to go reset your mind or rest your mind,
Right.
do it.
Well, I think COVID has forced everyone to slow down, which I think we all needed. I think the world
Yes.
needed to slow down and start focusing on things that were more important rather than getting distracted by all this other stuff.
Yeah.
And it has. I think a lot of people have taken advantage of the fact that this is a time to do self-reflection, self-assessment, reprioritizing, and hopefully a lot of us will come out on the other end, maybe hopefully better.
I hope
Better
so.
people.
I hope so.
At least better hair.
Yeah. Better maintain. Yeah. I agree. Yeah.
Final question, though. I know that you recently were appointed as creative director for Milbon.
Yes. Global creative director, which is really
global. Yes, I know.
super honor. Yes.
So tell me about that role and the company, because I had never heard of it, to be honest, before I read about it related to you. So.
Gosh, I mean, it's a big shoe to fill.
Yeah.
Before I was with L'Oreal Professional, and I was their global ambassador. But this is like another step forward, meaning basically creating aesthetic imagery or direction of images or hair for the company globally. And
Wow.
I produce collections for them yearly, like a spring collection, a fall collection, just basically predicting what looks should be in for, this year or the season. And that's really, really major. And I think for them to trust me, a Japanese company that's been around for 60 years, that it's very, I mean, the ingredients that they use are very amazing. They don't have a big line. They're very catering to hairdressers, professional, and they trust me to take a lead.
Wow.
Yeah. Chinese American to take a lead.
I know. Yeah. That's very open-minded of them as well. But obviously they see that you have this incredible reach, global reach. So it kind of makes sense for them, for sure.
And I think their aesthetic and my aesthetic coexist in line really well too, because they're all about healthcare and the health of the hair.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they want that effortless, careless, easygoing hair.
Yeah. Okay.
That low maintenance.
So it sounds like a good match.
Yeah, it's a really good match.
Yeah.
And they've been phenomenal. Like, I'm so happy, and I can't wait for 2 more years of it. So I'm their global creative director for 3 years.
Wow. Yeah. Okay.
So,
well, we'll watch out for that and see where that's headed. But it was so great to meet you, and I cannot believe, seriously, when I got that message through Benny, my business partner at Next Shark, that you had contacted and said, I would love to do May's hair. I seriously was like,
aw.
Me? And I'm like, oh my God. So yeah, I was very excited. And the fact that you were willing to come down here to do it, I just can't thank you enough.
Oh, I mean, May, I appreciate what you do. And
Thank you.
Really, this is nothing compared to what you do for our community. So thank you for being a voice of our community. It's very important.
Thank you for saying that. I really appreciate it. And I think it's important, and that's why I do it. So, and when I hear that from, people who watch the show and listen, it really, obviously I have a purpose. I feel like I have this purpose, but it's confirmed and reaffirmed by people like you and others. So I thank you. Thank you. And now I have such fabulous hair. I don't know what to do anymore. I just have to, I wish it wasn't COVID, because I'd be like running around going to a party or something, but at least we documented it so everybody can see. But thank you so much. I'm so happy to not say goodbye to Cousin It. So
it's my pleasure. And it's so nice to meet you.
Yeah.
And
well, we'll get together again.
I know.
Soon.
I can't wait.
And I'll keep watching you on Instagram and see all your travels and all of your evolution of styles. But yeah, we'll stay in touch for sure.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, May, for having me on here.
Absolutely.
I appreciate it.
Well, I have to say, it's been about a month since I got my hair cut by On, and it's still holding up. So he's absolutely right. The way he does hair and the look that he gives you really is kind of that easy, low maintenance hair, which I love. Right, Eggie? Eggie's sitting right next to me right now. For those of you who are listening, if you hear heavy panting, that is my dog. That is not me. So listen, usually with my episodes, if you listen and watch on a regular basis, I normally start the top of the show with news headlines and different timely issues. Well, because of the way I produce this particular show, I'm actually going to do it at the end right now. And that's also because I really need to talk about some very important things that have been happening lately in our world that have to be addressed. One of them is the fact that just recently we passed the 200,000 death mark with COVID-19. 200,000 people have died because of COVID-19 since this all started, so 7 months ago, in 7 months. And this is a milestone that we never thought we'd reach. I don't think any of us would have thought that 200,000 people would have really died from COVID 19 because we thought we would have it under control, that it would be taken care of, that leadership would know what it was doing. Well, we obviously thought wrong, very wrong. And speaking of bad leadership, Donald Trump just recently said, even in light of this milestone, he said, quote, "We've done a phenomenal job containing the virus." And guess what he also added to that? He said he gives himself an A plus for his efforts. An A plus for his efforts. I don't think the 200,000 people who are now dead or their family members or loved ones would agree with that. And I don't think anyone who is reasonable and can think logically and see the reality of what's been going on, I don't think they would agree with that either. So what I noticed last night when I was watching some news broadcasts, people are out there protesting this because they're just blown away like I am. So some people put up a big sign with lights across the fence of the White House saying Trump lied, 200,000 people died. And then other people have done the same around federal buildings and other like city buildings and, public areas. Trump lied, 200,000 people died. So, I think everyone is just in disbelief, really, and are just reaching, sort of the end of their tolerance. If you haven't already, I mean, I did a while ago, but others are finally coming to the realization that this is not a hoax, it's not a lie, it's not fake news, it's real. And it's not being dealt with properly at all. That's an understatement. And then the other news that broke my heart and the hearts of a lot of people in this country and around the world was the death of Ruth Bader Ginsburg, Supreme Court Justice. When that news broke, I screamed and I started crying because it is such a tremendous loss. This is a woman who's legend. She's a legend. She is a warrior, a true warrior in every sense of the word. She is somebody who fought for justice, for truth, for equality, for honor, for respect, for fairness, and really believed it and had such conviction that she dedicated her entire life to these causes until her dying day. She was 87, had fought cancer 4 times. She still wanted to, work through her pain and her chemotherapy and her radiation treatments, her surgeries, broken ribs. I mean, you name it. So she was a fighter because she believed in what she was doing for this country and for the law. People have been putting up lots of different posts, but one that struck me is it said, "Women, if you have a credit card in your own name and your own credit history, if you have leased an apartment or bought property in your name, if you have consented to your own medical treatment, if you have played a sport in school, you can thank Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg." Yeah, she fought for all of that as a lawyer and then a Supreme Court, as a judge and then a Supreme Court justice. So if you're female, you should thank her and you should believe in what she fought for. And if you are somebody who is a person of color or have ever been treated unequally, you should thank her. She fought for all of this. She believed in it. She believed in the law and equal rights and equal justice. But now, of course, since her passing, there's a huge battle going on to fill her vacant seat. And in 2016, President Barack Obama had the opportunity to fill the Supreme Court justice seat that was left behind by Justice Antonin Scalia. And that was almost a year before President Obama's term was up. And yet, the Republican senators, including Lindsey Graham, had said, no, we should wait until the new president is elected because there isn't enough time. And he had said, quote, "I want you to use my words against me. If there's a Republican president in 2016 and a vacancy occurs in the last year of the first term, you can say Lindsey Graham said, let's let the next president, whoever it might be, make that nomination." And then he said, "And you could use my words against me and you'd be absolutely right." Then in 2018, he repeated the same sentiment, saying, "If an opening comes up in the last year of President Trump's term and the primary process has started, we'll wait till the next election." Well, guess what Lindsey Graham said just recently after RBG passed away? He has reversed his position, saying it's different this time. It's different this time. Oh, with what, less than 45 days to go till the election, it's different this time? So he did a 180. Complete hypocrite. Like, you can't get more hypocritical than that. Of course, Senator Mitch McConnell of Kentucky, he already showed his true colors. I mean, the guy is disgusting. He said on Friday, just hours after RBG passed, he didn't even show any respect. He immediately said in public that we are going to get an appointment on for the Supreme Court seat, and we will make that happen before the election. So he had such little respect that he just said that publicly. And other senators, Republican senators, have said the same thing. Only 2 Republican senators have said we should wait until after the election. Susan Collins of Maine and Senator Murkowski of Alaska. So what's the common denominator here? It's all old white men. Let that sink in for a second. Old white men making these decisions about our country, about women, about minorities. Let that sink in for a second, okay? I just want you to think about that for a second while I continue. So RBG's last wish, according to her granddaughter, who had spoken to her and actually written this down in her computer, recently came out and said, "In the final days of her life, I asked my grandmother if there was anything she wanted to say to the public, to anyone that wasn't already out there. I pulled out my computer and she dictated the following sentence to me. She said, 'My most fervent wish is that I will not be replaced until a new president is installed.' I read it back and she was very happy with it. When I asked, 'Is that it? Is there anything else you'd like to say?' She said, 'The rest of my work is a matter of public record.' So that's all she wanted to add." So that was her last wish. RBG wanted us to wait. She wanted Congress to wait. She wanted the president to wait until a new president was elected, until the election had happened, so that the voice of the people could be heard. But obviously, the Republicans are not respecting that. And Donald Trump certainly isn't respecting it because they want to stack the court with conservative justices, which will affect our country for decades to come because Supreme Court justices, it's a lifetime appointment. And this was the most appalling thing that came out recently from Donald Trump, of course, because it's appalling. He apparently had questioned even the validity of what Ruth Bader Ginsburg had said to her granddaughter on Fox and Friends, his favorite show. He had said he accused his political foes, Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer and Speaker Nancy Pelosi and Adam Schiff, of being behind Ginsburg's last request. He said, I don't know that she said that, or was that written out by Adam Schiff, Schumer, and Pelosi? So he was suggesting that this was made up by his political foes. I mean, that is lower than I actually would have thought he could possibly go. I mean, that's really low. So that's how soulless, how disrespectful, how uncivilized this man is, that he would even suggest that this was made up by his political foes rather than just leaving it as something that RBG had said as her last dying wish to her granddaughter. So, the reason why that Trump wants to push for this nomination and this appointment on the Supreme Court is because obviously this is going to make his base very happy because they're anti-abortion, they're anti-gay marriage, and they're, there are lots of antis on that list. But it's also could work in his favor if this presidential election is questioned, or if there's anything that is hanging in terms of a final outcome. And as we know, back during the George W. Bush and Al Gore election, the election was finally decided by the Supreme Court. It had to go all the way up to the Supreme Court for it to decide who the winner was. And so this is the hope that if it came to that, if the Supreme Court is stacked in a conservative way that would weigh in the favor of Donald Trump, then that would help him if there was an undecided election. And that could very well happen given what's going on with this election already, the question of ballots and mail-in ballots, and it's going to be rigged and all of this. So this all falls into play. Now, the reason I'm explaining all of this to you, and I'm sure a lot of you already know this, but I'm just trying to reiterate the importance of this. I have had it. I've had it with this bullshit. I've had it with the lies. I've had it with the manipulation. I've had it with going against the rule of law. I've had it with the mistreatment of immigrants and minorities and women. I've had it with the racists. I've had it with all of it. And Donald Trump has fueled it, and he continues to fuel it. And the Republicans, including Senator Lindsey Graham and Mitch McConnell and all these old white guys, are hanging on to control, hanging on for dear life because they are fearful of what's going to happen in this country, which is progress. We want to move forward. We want to move forward together, unified, but they're creating these divisions because they're hanging on to the old guard. They're hanging on to the ways of days gone by, and they're scared of losing power, and they will hang on for dear life no matter what it takes, even if it means selling their soul to the devil, which they have. So I've had it, but I'm not going to sit back and just be depressed and say, oh my God, and throw my hands up. Believe me, there are moments when I want to, but then I say, no, we got to fight like hell. We got to fight like hell. Do it for RBG, but you know what? Do it for yourselves. If you're a person of color, if you're a woman, if you have a daughter, if you have ever been treated as the other or an outsider, or if you ever have been treated unfairly in your job, whatever, we want to move forward as a country. We don't want to move backwards. We don't want these people who think they're still clinging on to power because they're white and old and traditional and conservative. That's not advancement. It's going backwards. So fight. I'm asking you to fight like warriors because we need to. We need to fight for this country. We need to fight for democracy, true democracy. We need to fight for humanity, compassion, empathy. We need to fight for respect. We need to fight for the rule of law. So we need to vote. It's coming up, guys. Please get out and vote and inspire others to vote. Today is actually official voter registration day, something like that. I think I read that this morning. So all the more reason to get up, get registered if you haven't already. Get your ballots out early if you can. Inspire others, motivate others. This is a call to action, okay? This is a call to action for humanity, for decency. So we are at a crucial moment in our history right now. It's crucial. Things could change for a very long time and not for the better if we don't take action. So I'm begging you, and I'm begging you as warriors, find that warrior spirit and fight. Fight the good fight. We have to. We have to try and fight the good fight. We have to win. Okay? All right. So thank you for listening and watching as always, everyone. I believe very, very strongly in the power of goodness and truth and justice. Let us be inspired by the life of Ruth Bader Ginsburg, but let us also be inspired by each other and what we believe in and the goodness of humanity. It's still there. I know sometimes it seems like we've gotten lost, but it's still there. So we have to find it, we have to revive it, resuscitate it, and we have to move forward. Okay? All right. Listen, thank you for your support. Keep listening, keep watching. Stay safe, everyone. Until next time.